Well, after I got that first $1,000 check, I said, maybe I can repeat this. And sure enough, I found another sketchy wholesaler that found me a property for 25,000. And numbers were exactly the same. Spent another 25,000 renovation, and it rented $4,000.
And these are single family homes?
These are single family homes at the time. And I was like, man, now I'm making $2,000 a month. I remember the business that I had at the time. It was a bar business, and it was a building that bar business was in. The bar was on the bottom floor, there's a restaurant on the middle floor, and 6 apartments. And at that time, I knew the building cash flowed. If I got it, it would cash flow $10,000 a month. And I thought to myself, if I can get this building, that's it. I'm off to the races. This is freedom. And eventually, I did end up buying that building, and I turned around and never looked back. And that's how it started for me in real estate.
So you said that was the bar you were working in?
I had owned it. I started actually just as an employee at the bar.
Okay.
It's a great story. I started as an employee. I actually had the opportunity to buy it on what was seller finance, which I had no idea how that would even come into play in my life in the future. I bought it on seller finance terms with no money down. The guy believed in me, and he took a risk on me. And I actually did exceedingly well with the bar business. And I was just working though at that point. I didn't own the real estate.
Yeah.
So I was paying rent, and I saw how much I was paying. I knew if I could take this building, I could really turn it into something.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. So it's a mixed use building then. It was commercial and residential. Yeah. It's funny. I talked to a guy who is a financial planner, older gentleman, and he works his financial planning business focused primarily on small business owners. And he was telling me that his the clients that at the end of their career, he had been doing it for a long time. The clients at the end of their career, they would work on a plan to retire and sell their business. And he said it was kind of sad because a lot of them realized at that point that they owned this job that wasn't really marketable. But he said the ones who actually retired and went off into the sunset and had a great retirement and money were the ones who owned the building under their business. He said 9 times out of 10, that was the only thing of real value, even though they put all their blood, sweat, and tears in their business for 30 years. It was the real estate, the people who bought the building 30 years ago, they just paid it off over time. Now they sat on this huge asset that was worth a whole bunch of money. So it sounds like you kind of had that same thought process. I want to own the real estate underneath this thing. So what did that deal look like?
Oh man, it's actually, even that deal in itself was a story. So I had a great relationship with the current landlord at the time. And he always told me, his name was Bill. He always told me, Ray, when I die, I want you to have this building. I want you to have this building. And I said, Bill, I don't really have the money for this building. I think the building price was about $500,000-$600,000 at the time. I'm like, Bill, I don't have that. I didn't even know that I only needed 20% down. I thought I had to come up with the full amount.
Yeah, you bought two other ones for $25,000 out of pocket. So.
Yeah. And I said, Bill, I don't have that type of money. So I'm like, Bill, would you sell a finance to me? He said, no, I won't sell a finance. Never do it. Never do it. Well, eventually, this is about four years of me, working there or owning it. And I tell Bill, I got some other properties. I'm starting to get into real estate. And he says, you know what, Ray? You're a hard worker. You took care of my building. I'll give you the opportunity to sell a finance. Bill and I shake hands. Bill dies the next week.
Oh, my gosh.
Can't make this up. Bill dies the next week. We got nothing in writing. It goes to the family. It goes to the Uncle Ernie. Ernie says, there's no way, Ray, I'm going to let you sell or finance this asset. I know what this building's worth. $500,000, $600,000. That's what I want for it. So I start to talk to Ernie. Ernie, I'm starting to, do really well in real estate. I got a couple assets. No way. Finally, it's the winter. I remember it was like in December. Ernie finally agrees to say, hey, Ray, I'll give you a shot. I'll give you a shot at this. Ernie and I shake hands. Snowstorm comes in. Ernie dies shoveling snow.
No way.
Can't make it up.
That's insane. 2 back-to-back.
And at that point, I was at the point of it's just not meant to be. This
Someone's
is not
telling
the
me
asset
something.
I want. But a tenant on the top floor. So it goes back to the family. The family's not willing to sell a finance. They care nothing about it. It goes to the family. A tenant on the top floor of this 6-unit building or 8-unit building, top floor, decides one night to go out for drinks, takes a hammer to the back of the toilet, and floods the whole building. Oh. The whole building gets condemned. I then have the opportunity to buy the building from the family for $250,000.
Oh my gosh.
That was the opportunity of a lifetime. The insurance check actually helped me pay for the building and pay for the asset for the down payment. And
Wow.
I used money I had saved to do the renovation. We just refinanced that building, and I think the appraisal value is about $850,000.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Did
So,
did you keep that tenant, or did you get rid of that guy?
no, no, the tenant was long gone. No, no,
That's good.
somewhere out there. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful for him somewhere out
Maybe some cash for keys or something.
there.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how these things happen. I tell people that all the time too about like, they're like, oh, I missed out on this deal. I'm like, no, you did. Like, there's a good chance 6 months from now, they're coming back to say, well, we didn't get a better offer. We'll take your offer now. So, real estate's just like an ongoing process. It's not like just transactional. Things can always come back and happen later. I'm curious after hearing this. I'm really inspired, and there's a lot of people who would be in your shoes who wouldn't take actions like this, especially if you didn't have that background. Like nobody was teaching it to you. You just kind of overheard some guys having a conversation at the bar, and most people wouldn't go out and put their own money on the line. Do you feel like there's something that about you or your situation specifically that made you actually take action?
Yeah, I think it was just I want to be successful. I don't want to go back to the point of where I was at when I was younger. And what does it take to be successful? It takes massive action. It takes risk. When I started that first food truck, I remember specifically, I called my mom. I told my mom, hey, mom, I'm going to drop out of school and I want to start this food truck. And she said, no way. Everyone around me told me, no, don't do it. And, action is about having a plan too. School for me was always going to be around. I could always go back to school. But it became, what happens if I don't take this opportunity that I have right now? And this food truck, I think it was, I spent like $4 or $5 grand on it. It was like down to bare bones food truck, barely could be called. I'm happy the engine worked as long as it did. But I was going to school to be an industrial engineer, and the average industrial engineer at that time made about 60,000, and I was working about 40 to 50 hours a week. And, I got that food truck and I was working Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And I was clearing about that 50 to 60,000 a week. And that was when it was like, wow, I've got my time back. Now, if I can just scale this and continue to keep my time, maybe that's what true wealth looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's your goal right now? Like, why are you doing this? What's the outcome that you're after?
So in real estate right now, I have a lot of units right now, over 100 units. And right now I've gotten to the point of giving back and developing the community. So right now I'm working with, for example, my newest project is a grant project. We're building a 12-unit complex for veterans and people with disabilities or facing homelessness.
Cool.
But that in itself is a great, has great value. It faces, it shares the adversities of things that I've been with and been through. But again, it's helping the community, and it's also fully funded. This is something we need. Affordable housing is a thing that people need desperately. So we're actually helping as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And how did you go? So once you got that 8-unit building that you were operating out of, did you then decide to close your restaurant, or did you keep that open? And how did that grow into over 100 units then?
Yeah, so the restaurant, I never stopped working, man. I always had that attitude of like, I'm gonna keep working. Like, what else is there to do?
Yeah.
And I kept the restaurant space. I actually sold the restaurant space. I kept the bar space that was underneath.
Oh, okay.
And I had the 6 doors. We got it renovated, got new tenants in, and I still had the other 2 places in Pittsburgh as well, and a couple other units that I had just grabbed randomly as time kind of went on. And I remember I hit it was almost a depression. And it was a point of like, man, I have money now. What's the point of life? Like I have money, I can travel all the time, and I can pick what car I want to drive and do what I want. But what's the point? And I remember that same cousin that told me firefighters don't drive Ferraris. He came to me and I told him that, and he said, "You're being selfish." He said, you're comfortable, but are the people around you comfortable? Are your kids going to be comfortable? Are your kids going to be comfortable? He said, you owe it to them that you have this opportunity now to make more people successful around you. And at that point, it was something that the way he said it, it was so simplistic, but it got me off the couch. And I said, you know what? I got to help more people. I'm not having a big enough impact. I'm good, but I need to help more people. And that's something that shaped my life and continues to inspire and help me now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. My wife and I kind of had that same thought process. Like initially, financial freedom is a great thing to get to. Like it changes your life. It gives you opportunities that you just never would have had otherwise. But then what? Is the point of life to just not do anything the rest of your life? Is that like the goal? So obviously I don't think that's it. That's not why God designed us. So to me, it's impact then. And I think you discovered something similar. It sounds like this cousin's like an oracle. Like you need to,
he says it so simplistically, but it's just like, wow, man, that was well said. And this guy, he works a W-2 and he works 90 hours a week. And I try to help him, but I can't help him, but he's helped me tremendously. Yeah. And I tell him all the time, I'm appreciative.
Yeah. Sometimes you can help other people with that outside perspective, even though you can't see it in your own situation. But, so you also have started coaching other people, and you're a business coach and a life coach. What inspired that, and how did that come about?
So it became a lot of people asking somewhat of the same question.
Okay.
Right. And I think some people, and what I've seen, some people just need guided, right? Or they need somebody that can be, or help them be accountable. Somebody that can push them along the line. In real estate, we have this thing, analysis paralysis, right? People just analyze deals. They analyze deals and they keep analyzing it. I go to, I speak at conferences, and when I go to conferences, sometimes I'll see the same people. And I'll say, hey, man, have you done a deal yet? And they'll say, nope, I'm still looking for one. I'm still analyzing one. Take action, right? And some people need people around them that can help them take that action. So, that's what opened the door for me, is that I'm an action taker, right? If there's an opportunity, what do we need to do to figure out how to make the most of that opportunity? And so right now I'm at the point where I'm able to help other people take that major action. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And are the types of deals that you're doing now, has that evolved and changed over time?
Yeah, and I learned it the hard way. I was originally, single family, but I decided to switch into mixed use. So usually, storefront on the bottom with residential up top. I've decided to switch to that just because it has a bigger impact on a community. I've noticed. When you bring business into a town, you also impact the people around it. So the businesses that are coming in, I'm actually helping shape the community that's forming around it.
Got it.
So I've taken that route. And like I mentioned, I also am doing, some of the grant and partnership route where we're building affordable housing for others as well. So I still divvy up into both areas.
Got it. Okay. How do you find, I'm curious just personally about mixed use, because it's something I've been interested in as well. How do you find the right commercial tenant for those spaces? And does that, I imagine it's probably smaller startup type businesses. Do those turn over a lot, or do they struggle to make rent, or can you find pretty solid tenants?
The easiest advice I would give to people, one, vet them just like you would a regular residential tenant. Right? Do your background check. Do your credit check. We pull bank statements if we need to, depending on the tenant, what their reputation is. We want to know that they can secure this location, that they will have a lasting impact. Fortunately, and I think we're in a great era right now where we have a lot of people who want to open mom and pop businesses. So this is a great opportunity if you can partner. And I look at my commercial tenants as partnerships more than anything. So what are you going to be bringing? How can I help you grow your business? Because your growth affects my real estate. I want to see my commercial tenants grow.
Yeah.
Right. I want to see them established, because if I go get another space, sure, come on, you want to open up store number 2? I love to have you there.
Yeah.
And again, it affects the community. So if you can help, and that's the goal in real estate, is to help. Right. We're here to help. Yes, we make a profit, but we're helping.
Yeah.
So if I can leave an impact whether it be residential or commercial. I'm happy with that. But I would say vet your tenants just the same way that you would a residential tenant.
And what type of tenants or businesses are you renting to, and are they all in West Virginia there?
So we have, like I said, we have Pittsburgh, we have some in Ohio, but they're all pretty similar. There are the mom and pop shops, which typically you'll see like a barbershop, restaurants. But then we have even, more creative ones. Like we have a dance studio, actually, like a lady teaches ballet dance, and that's one of our newest clients. We have a new pretty much craft bagel place coming in. These are things that people really want in the community. And so when I'm vetting my tenants, I'm also looking for, would this have an impact? Does this align with my community as well? I wouldn't put a church next to a strip club.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense, And so I always keep that in mind of how will this impact the community? We see like a lot of smoke shops that open up here and there. What's going to be the impact on the community if I was to allow one of them to come into, this mall right here? I wouldn't put, a coffee shop 2 doors down from Starbucks. I don't know if it's going to be beneficial for the long term of it. I want to make sure that it's beneficial, makes sense throughout the community.